We have a new education secretary. Donald Trump's selection for education secretary Betsy DeVos was confirmed yesterday with a historic tie-breaking vote from the vice president of the United States, Mike Pence, needed to break a 50-50 tie. Let's take a look at the historic moment.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the nomination is confirmed.
President,
Majority Leader.
I move to reconsider the vote on the nomination.
And just like that, weeks of advocacy against this horrible, horrible choice to lead the country's education goes by the wayside. There were two Republicans that voted against Betsy DeVos's confirmation, and that's all fine, well, and good. But the real news here is that the confirmation of Betsy DeVos to Education Secretary proves you can buy into government power in the United States. You can, even if you have no business being there, end up there by sheer virtue of having a lot of money. Betsy DeVos has no business heading up education for the United States. She was embarrassed, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times during her confirmation hearings by Tim Kaine, by Al Franken, by Elizabeth Warren. Didn't matter. And Al Franken sort of asked a key question during those hearings. Would you be here if your family hadn't donated roughly $200 million to politicians? The answer is obviously a resounding no. She is only there because of her family's political contributions.
I mean, unfortunately, political patronage has been around for a long time, probably peaked in the 1880s with a spoils system. But usually the contributions would be in exchange for like an ambassadorship or something, right. Not something as brazen as Secretary of Education.
Yeah, I mean, Obama sold a ton of ambassadorships to the big bundlers that raised a ton of money for him. That's nothing new, but very clearly here, Betsy DeVos buying her way into the cabinet. She was asked whether she opposes guns in schools, Rachel. She cited non-existent grizzly bear attacks as a reason to maybe have guns in schools. She didn't agree that schools that receive federal money should have to follow the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. This is someone who has no clue whatsoever about education. She couldn't even understand really simple questions about education, including from Senator Al Franken, never mind put together an even remotely informed answer. She has actually admitted that her family bought influence with her donations. Check out something that she said previously, which I'll put up on the screen for you. This is from a 1997 op-ed for Roll Call that she wrote. My family is the largest single contributor of soft money to the National Republican Party. I have decided, however, to stop taking offense at the suggestion that we are buying influence, the piece reads. Now I simply concede the point. We expect to foster a conservative governing philosophy consisting of limited government and respect for traditional American virtues. We expect a return on investment. We expect a good and honest government. Furthermore, we expect the Republican Party to use the money to promote these policies and, yes, to win elections. Well, she bought influence, Rachel. She did it. She won, I guess.
Yeah, she definitely won. What I've kind of been hearing a lot, overwhelming response is that a lot of parents are worried that she is going to take away the measures that are put in place for communications between parents and students, which a lot of people, I think Phi Delta Kappa poll said that about 2/3 of parents gave their public schools a grade of an A or a B, and then 1/3 it was about a C or a D. But what kind of overwhelmingly showed satisfaction was the communication, and a lot of people are worried that she's going to divert money away from putting in places aides and therapists to really bolster that communication.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she doesn't even conceptually support the concept of just funding public schools, and all of those aspects are going to suffer. She wants to effectively create Christian schools. That's really what her mission is, Pat. She wants to, quote, advance God's kingdom. We talked about that last time we discussed Betsy DeVos, and there's people writing to me saying, well, why couldn't John McCain, increasingly the Republican voice of reason, at least vote against her? Well, she bought him too. Her family contributed over $50,000 to John McCain during the 36-year period starting in 1980. What about Marco Rubio, who sometimes is a Republican with a spine? He took a combined $100,000 from Betsy DeVos and her family, did vote to confirm her. that's at least partially why they didn't vote against her.
And we criticize Betsy DeVos because she doesn't have any experience with public schools. But I think that's kind of the whole point. I think that's why she was put into this position, because it's very hard to get rid of a department. And the next best thing is to just put someone in charge that doesn't even agree with it.
To understand this, and I wanted to touch on that next, you have to understand the position of some of the Republicans voting yes and many of their constituents. They want to destroy public education in this country. That's exactly what Betsy DeVos wants to do. The reasons are stick religion in school. That's one reason to put Betsy DeVos in. And take money away from public schools and to private schools. In that sense, it makes perfect sense that a lot of these Republicans would support her. That's how they see education, Rachel. They want public education to go that way.
Yeah, I'm just also thinking that her unilateral power won't even be completely strong. So she's actually in a perfect position.
Yeah, absolutely. This perpetuates the circle. You defund public schools because they're bad. They get worse because you've defunded them, which then you use to justify taking even more money away. If you have, here's my word of encouragement to the kids out there, stay in school, kids. If you have $200 million and you're at all worried, you might not be able to be, I don't know, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development because you don't know anything about it. Betsy DeVos's riches to riches story can be a huge inspiration for you, because the $200 million can get you into the cabinet. Damn it, Pat. You can do it too.
That's the American dream, isn't it?
Yeah, basically is buying power with money you've inherited from your family.